Well, let's now get you the latest on the visit of the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang, who is here. He held a meeting with Dr. Jaishankar earlier and then met with National Security Adviser Ajit Doval. For more on that meeting, let's go across to Vishnu for more. And Vishnu, if you could tell us, the reports coming in of what transpired between Doval and the Chinese Foreign Minister, what are you hearing?
Well, there was always a sense that this entire meeting was being spearheaded by the National Security Adviser Ajit Doval, and I think there is a fair indicator that that may have been the case. As we've been reporting through the day, there was every possibility that de-escalation of the situation along the line of actual control in Ladakh may be the primary reason why Wang is over here. And our sources indicating to us that both sides believe that there is a need for a complete disengagement, military disengagement in remaining areas, and an effort to remove impediments to allow the bilateral relationship to take its natural course, and that continuation of the present situation is not in mutual interest. So therefore, assuming that this is how the process of talks has gone this far, I think it's fair to say that even this is a very significant breakthrough between India and China, given what we've seen in the last couple of years. The fact that Wang is over here and that there seems to be this sort of agreement and thinking between both sides is a huge step forward, very significantly. And the Chinese side has apparently has likely invited Mr. Ajit Doval to visit Beijing as a visit after this particular one by Wang Yi, and that Mr. Doval has apparently responded positively, and that he would do a visit to China after immediate issues are resolved successfully. So the key question is, what are the immediate issues, what are the immediate deliverables that India is actually waiting to see China perhaps help out on, perhaps be part of the bargain on, to ensure that the process of normalcy actually moves really quickly. But I would suggest, and there is a press briefing being held by the foreign minister in about an hour, 10 minutes from now. We'll get more clarity then, but I would suggest that based on what we are now hearing, even this could be called a breakthrough given where India and China presently are.
Very welcome breakthrough, thorn relationship. Wang Yi inviting the NSA Doval to Beijing. He's saying, yes, I'd be happy to come, but let's sort out or, remove the impediments that still remain. And he says that after these issues are resolved, so that's, a massive development in India-China ties over the, that we've seen these issues taking place, this Cold War over the last 2 years in a sense. And now you have the Chinese foreign minister here speaking with the NSA and Mr. Doval saying, let's, resolve the immediate issues.
And that's correct, Gargi, and I would suggest that this is the one step that actually comes before the physical disengagement of soldiers on the front line in Ladakh. Remember, 1.5 lakh soldiers, India and China combined, are on that extremely difficult terrain in absolutely crazy altitudes and temperatures, one of the most inhospitable parts of the world. They've been there for 2 years now. It's time to bring them back, and I think there is consensus on both sides that that is the right thing to do. But whether or not the conditions are now favorable for that to take place, at one level it depends on an element of brinkmanship. If not military, then certainly diplomatic. Both sides need to be satisfied that there is an element of confidence which they can derive from the opposite party. In this case, they appear to be speaking exactly the same language. Now, whether or not this actually translates into a physical disengagement, we'll have to wait and see. But if this rhetoric is honest, it's true, and it reflects the positions of the two sides, then the next step would be disengagement. We aren't quite there where soldiers are physically moving back, but this is that key step that is likely comes before the physical process of disengagement happens. Does that mean they're going to be moving back tomorrow, day after? By no means. But I think the agreement to physically start moving back soldiers would come after a successful diplomatic meeting, and thus far the indicators are that this is quite successful. But again, let's wait and see. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. What the foreign minister says, and then as importantly what the Chinese media reports, how they report it. We don't want anything negative at this stage, and as we've seen all too often, there have been positive talks, hope for the future, hope for disengagement, addressing all the remaining issues, and then things go back to square one. But we're again at that stage where both sides appear to be saying the same thing, wanting peace essentially. Let's hope it works out.
Right, and Vishnu has been absolutely, you've been watching all these developments so closely, and yesterday there's been speculation about when the Chinese foreign minister was going to come. There was no word from Beijing or from Delhi, and you actually had to track his flight to see that he was arriving from Kabul yesterday. So the entire, visit had been shrouded in this sort of mystery or no official word. Finally, we had that first official photo op when Wang Yi went to meet with Mr. Dr. Shankar, and now these meetings have taken place, and we'll have more clarity, as you said, when the press conference takes place in about an hour from now.
So basically, Gargi, firstly, he met Ajit Doval first at 10 o'clock, then Dr. S. Shankar at about 11 o'clock. The pictures were warm. Shankar and Wang Yi doing a namaste to the cameras. Then we saw Ajit Doval and Wang Yi walking down South Block and then pictures of them actually talking to each other in a conference room. We also saw a smile on Mr. Doval's face, and then sources indicating to us the broad areas where there appears to be some sort of consensus. The consensus is for peace. Now, to translate that peace into the physical movement of soldiers back to their old positions, that's the next big hurdle, and that frankly would be the final step. But perhaps the conditions for that to take place have been achieved in this visit, I dare say, and that if assuming there are no further hiccups between now and then, there would be a possibility of actual peace. One other interesting point our sources indicating to us is that both sides have called for sincerity and maturity. Outlandish statements either in the media over here or in the media over there, or by leaders of either sides, or a big effort at saying that, we won this and they've backed down, or we are going to show them and, we won. That sort of thing doesn't work. Remember, the Chinese are extremely conscious about atmospherics, about signals, and they don't want to be seen as being, second best in this process. They want to be equals in this process. There's perhaps wisdom in that, and it's something which our side would also want. A process where our interests are absolutely 100% protected in the process of talks, and that unnecessary hype doesn't vitiate a possible peace process.
All right, Vishnu, thanks so much for joining us with all those developments on the meeting with the Chinese foreign ministers had with NSA Doval, as well as India's External Affairs Minister Shankar.